Hello, my name is Matthew Luke, and today I'm going to be presenting on my fall 2020 co-op experience. Here's a little bit of information about my role. The company that I worked for during this rotation was called ATI Industrial Automation. They manufacture force torque sensors, tool changers, and other end-of-arm robotic tooling devices. I worked in the sales and application engineering department as an application engineer under Richard Hevner. This was my second rotation out of 3 for the company. In this presentation, I'm going to highlight some of the applications that I worked on, show some continuous improvement and other projects that I was a part of, go through my capstone project, show some photos from a plant visit, and go through my takeaways from the rotation. A big part of my role this rotation was taking calls and opportunities from customers that were hoping to use ATI's products and giving them the correct part number that they needed to use and be quoted for. So this first application was my favorite because there were a lot of unknowns. It's something that wasn't really done before. This customer had a really large welding system and they wanted to pass a camera from a tool changer on the robot side to a tool changer in the stand side and keep power to the camera at all times. So this one was a lot of fun working with the account manager as well as the customer, trying to navigate what modules and what tool changers were going to be best. They also needed like a custom mount designed for the tool changer in order to sit correctly in the stand. The most challenging application I worked on was one that involved a large like servo welding robot. This was challenging because I had not worked on an application that used like servo drives before, which changes like the modules on the tool changer quite a bit. So it's important to understand the full aspect of the application so that you can provide the right part number to the customer. There was also a quote given for a utility coupler, which is not on a robot, so I had to provide part numbers for 2 different product lines. Part of the application engineer's role is to serve as the link between the customer and the in-house engineers. So in this rotation, I got to do a few continuous improvement exercises, one of which was like this alignment pin feature shown in the tool changer. There were issues with customers breaking them off and then having to basically replace the whole tool changer because they were mounted below the mechanism that like locks the tool changer, so it wasn't something that maintenance crews could do in the field. So I looked at how to change this to like a set screw design, like the larger tool changers shown below. So those are easy. You just undo the set screw and you can pull that alignment pin out, and it results in easier serviceability. This fastener length continuous improvement was an exercise in like tolerance stack ups. So at worst case scenario, when mounting a tool changer to a robot flange, how much thread engagement is there for the screws. So customers had reported the threads pulling out, not having enough thread engagement for how large the tool changer payload was. So an easy solution just to increase the tap depth and use longer fasteners. This added minimal cost and still improved on the current product. Part of the application engineer's job is to provide part number configurations for account managers who speak with customers who may not have the technical background. So this spreadsheet is something that I put together where account managers could go in and select the robot that their customer was using, what type of port and sensors they wanted to use, and then like a basic application with like the payload automatically generating based on the robot, and it would spit out basic budgetary part numbers with links. So that way the account manager didn't need to involve an applications engineer for these basic budgetary quotes, and the process could be streamlined. As part of my rotation, I helped organize the applications engineering storage area. So in there they had lots of busted modules like the one shown here, as well as some other parts that had been switched out over the years. So this was the first time I really got to sit down and look at some of the products that ATI makes. There's like a really wide range because there's a lot of kind of custom applications and a lot of different products that these tool changers need to work with. So this really helped me to understand like some of the different connector sizes and needs based on the different like robot manufacturers, as well as ATI's internal part numbers. ATI's marketing department puts out videos for customers that help to break down some of their products. So I got to play the role as the customer in the Cobot tool changer video. I got to be filmed assembling it and putting it onto the robot flange, which was just a lot of fun. And for me, I hadn't gotten to do that before, so it was cool to see how, if I was a customer, I might use these tool changers to accomplish my needs. This is an example of a development product tool changer that had not been released. So I got to look at the model from the engineer and compare it to robots that customers would commonly use in the payload. And I got to kind of add modules and play around in SolidWorks with different configurations and check for wrist interferences, which there were a couple, and that would not have been discovered until later on had I not gotten to do this project. One of my favorite things that I got to do during this rotation was program Techman Cobot. So I got to experiment with creating like tool paths and then transferring those onto a different plane and understanding like tool center point and stuff like that, which is pretty essential for robot programming. I also got to do some experimentation with force control, since ATI manufactures like force and torque sensors, which led to my junior design project. These are just some pictures of the Cobot with like a path tracing tool attached to a force torque sensor, and I was able to basically have the robot move towards this little like spline, figure out when it touched it, and then move along the path accordingly. ATI has done a lot of custom work and like one-off tool changers for customers in the past, but they're trying to kind of standardize on a few set options for different applications. So for this like tool changer by application list, I got to basically look at what tool changers have been designated for specific applications in the past. Some of these include like a clean room application, so you may need different types of grease or different types of materials or seals and stuff like that to make sure that you meet the requirements of the application. So that was fun to get to understand like what goes into the different customer requirements and then how ATI serves those requirements in the options that they have for their tool changers. Another key thing the application engineers at ATI do are go on like site visits to different plants. I got to go to a large automotive manufacturer and speak with their maintenance crews, learn about problems with the tool changers, anything like that, as well as go through and resurface a lot of the tool changers that were out there in the field. This is like pretty heavy welding environment, so there's all sorts of dirt and debris that get into some of the different valves and on the electrical contacts. So this was a lot of fun because I didn't really understand like why the products were so rugged until I actually got to go out in the field and experience the way customers really use the products, which I think is important when continuing on in further rotations and doing design work. This shows a little before and after comparison of this tool changer that I cleaned up and refurbished. It just shows how kind of intense some of these environments are and why you need to be aware of this when you make designs. My overall takeaways for the rotation, I think I definitely had a positive impact on the organization as a whole. I was working with customers pretty much every day to bring in new business, which is essential to keep operations going. I also went through a lot of continuous improvement tasks that were all kind of customer driven. So that was something that I think was very valuable, is helping ATI make their products better for their customers. This rotation allowed me to get great insight into not only the company, because I got to do a little bit of the business stuff and see a little bit of how sales works, but also just the industrial automation industry in general. I got to see all sorts of customer tooling and machine designs and how they use ATI's products in their facility automation. And a lot of the customers are just in like a design and quote phase. So you get to see some pretty wild stuff as people try to design and make all these kind of like custom applications work for them. I also think that it was important to get to experience being on like the technical sales side of things, because it allowed me to understand that there's a lot of companies and industries that have like sales engineers and application engineers, and they can be a critical resource when you actually go out to make your designs. I think overall this rotation helped me grow by bettering my interpersonal skills. When you have to give presentations and speak with customers and be in meetings, I think it kind of forces you to be a little bit more professional and really like care and understand your products. So I thought that was great. And it also helped me confirm that, maybe I don't want to be a sales or applications engineer. I'm definitely interested in getting into automation and design. I really enjoyed getting to see all the aspects of somebody that's going to make like robotic tooling. And I think that it helped me get a better understanding of those systems as a whole. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my presentation about my role as an applications engineer at ATI Industrial Automation.